Welcome back. In the last segment, we spoke about the legal aspects of the Mueller probe. Now, we're going to take a look at how this could play out politically. What will Congress's role be in all of this? We're here to talk about that and much more. Democratic Congresswoman Elizabeth Esty, she represents Connecticut's 5th District. She has since 2002. Congresswoman, as always, thank you for the time.
Great to be with you, Richard.
Okay, so today we see, as usual, we can't even get a floor vote in terms of legislation that would protect the Mueller probe from going forward. Now, none of us can look into a crystal ball to see what Whitaker may or may not do here, but is it your sense that at the end of the day, we're going to learn much more, not just about the collusion potentially or obstruction that went on, but even more so the backdrop that surrounded this? Will we learn more of that come January once Democrats get the gavel, or do you think we learn more from the findings of the Mueller probe when and if they ever become public?
Well, I think we will see the Mueller probe become public. I suspect we're going to see that report drop before the end of the year. And if there's an effort by Whitaker or others to not present that, you can be assured that the new democratically controlled House of Representatives will find a way to get their hands on that report. So I think by one means or another, that will come out, what is in that report, which, you know, Bob Mueller is known to be a very tough and effective prosecutor, and I believe he is following a money trail. But we will also be seeing the new House of Representatives holding hearings to really understand what is the risk to our country, not just in the past, but forward going. And the integrity of our elections is of enormous concern and should be to all Americans, and frankly to our allies as well, who are also concerned.
Well, to that end, I mean, just take the last news cycle. We have the White House and the president specifically saying that climate change isn't real. And now we learned today, echoing what the president said, there's nothing to see here as it relates with the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia and the assassination that took place. To that end, it's like a fire hose every day of potential avenues. Now the Dems have the gavel that they can go down. What advice would you give the Democratic leadership? I mean, you mentioned a couple. They could follow the money trail. Jerry Nadler, a congressman from our area, certainly he could have his hands full 5 days a week and twice on Sunday if he wanted to have hearings investigating. But they also run the risk of just becoming almost too much of an investigative arm. Where would you suggest they prioritize, if it's even possible?
Well, I think you're absolutely right, Richard, because people are frustrated that Congress isn't getting things done. And the investigative power of Congress is important to do to hold this administration in check, and frankly, any administration in check. So I think you're going to see both. On the investigation side, you're going to have to be disciplined and focused, and that will be a bit of a challenge, I think, for new leadership.
But I'll tell you, just from a small vantage point, trying to put a TV show together under this administration, you have a plan at 10 a.m. and then you throw it in the waste bin at 2 p.m. because so much changes. I mean, for crying out loud, the president literally forwarded out a meme where he would put behind bars his own deputy attorney general today. I say that only because can the party really have an agenda that they plan out for January if the news changes every other hour? You don't know where the Mueller probe goes. You don't know what could or couldn't come out. I mean, you talk about this week between Russia and Saudi Arabia and so much more. How do you focus on something when it's almost impossible given the commander-in-chief?
It is a huge problem and a huge challenge. But again, I think that this president thrives on chaos. And he loves everyone talking about him every single minute of the day. And if we actually want to get things done for the American people, Democrats, Republicans, and unaffiliated, people have got to actually focus on the most essential things. And it is challenging because the news cycle is not in a matter of days, it's a matter of hours and sometimes minutes. But again, that isn't about getting things done. And so you got to tune things out sometimes. I find, you know, I don't look at the social media, and I read more and watch less of, frankly, what's on TV because it's so exhausting and it takes my eye off the ball on moving forward, getting legislation passed, working across the aisle, getting the most important issues addressed. And I think that kind of discipline and focus is going to be required.
Congresswoman, I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
And thanks, Richard.
Up next, a live report from the El Chapo trial at the federal courthouse in Brooklyn. Then our legal panel's here to discuss that and more.